Добрий день, ми з України. It's truly a blessing to host this special event today, this afternoon, Ukrainian Heritage Year for us. And my name is Ivan Belets. I'm a pastor of First Ukrainian Assemblies of God Church, also known as Cornerstone Church. And since the events happening in Ukraine for the past 2 years, third year going, full-scale war, this church had become a cornerstone to so many Ukrainians who have come to the United States seeking for refuge, seeking for hope, seeking for peace, seeking for restoration, and becoming a community that supports each other. And we are so fortunate to be here. 2 years from now, we will be celebrating 100 years anniversary. Our church has started as a Ukrainian community in 1926. And in 1937, the Ukrainian community purchased that building where we're at right now from former Metropolitan Bank. And I want to just show you a couple historical pictures. First, when the church didn't have a building yet, and we can have it on a screen. Our congregation met on 11th Street, and they are celebrating here their 5 years anniversary. And later on, the next picture, we could look at already meeting here. They're celebrating their 30-year anniversary in this sanctuary. You could see the older congregation of Ukrainians that have come to New York City, and they have been here celebrating and being in a community for Ukrainians before World War II. And we are so fortunate to reach 100 years anniversary in 2 years, because statistically, as we look at the lifespan of the church, many churches do not survive 100 years. As a rule, a lot of them decline and cease to exist. And there is a second wave of new churches opening up. And when we look at our Ukrainian culture, we could see and keep the Ukrainian past traditions, traditional songs, culture, food, that you will be today able to taste the Ukrainian borscht and Ukrainian vareniki, or pierogis as we speak here. And also, you will be able to hear a new song, new Ukrainian artists, which surprisingly good. When the war has started in Ukraine, a lot of good, fresh Ukrainian contemporary content was becoming very popular, written and put into music. So we will be able to have a different singers who would sing with the new original music, contemporary, and also some traditional. We look at our history, we see the past, remembering the past, we cherish the past heritage, but also we are fortunate, and unfortunate rather, to face the present situation in Ukraine with the war. But yet, as the enemy wants to destroy Ukrainian identity, Ukrainian culture, and Ukrainian heritage, we believe in the future. We believe that we will will be having the resilience to fight and still be the uniqueness of Ukrainian culture. And it's a privilege for us to live in New York City, where many sociologists in the past used to call New York as a melting pot. But then they realized it doesn't really happen. And sociologists, I don't know if you know, they have changed their expression, and they said, New York is actually not a melting pot, but it's a tossing salad. It is in one bowl, but there's a uniqueness of each culture and a heritage that's there and makes this beautiful. And we are so fortunate to live here and to have our friends who support us through many years, and especially in this difficult time for Ukraine, and the challenge for us as reaching 100 years anniversary in East Village, or we used to call, or still call, Ukrainian Village, preserve and help this sanctuary to shine and come back to its former glory. So I'm very blessed to have this event, and thank you who is watching us online. And today is a special event when we facing challenges with our facade renovation, But with each person, with help and support of so many who are present here, we believe we are able to face the challenges and look in the future and see the brightness of this beautiful sanctuary, which is a historic landmark that we will hear later more from different guests who are standing behind or alongside with us. Therefore, I welcome us all to this Ukrainian Preservation Heritage Year for us, and we believe that the best is yet to come. We also believe what enemy meant for evil, God turns for good. And He's using simple people, ordinary people, but when we come together, unifying, and it's amazing to have unity in diversity. Therefore, I would like to welcome our singers, Irina Balets and Oля Shanis. They will start this with the Ukrainian anthem, and if you could rise together as we listen to the Ukrainian anthem.
Ще не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття молоді, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Слава Україні!
It's nice to have many guests and friends of our church, of a Ukrainian community. They've been serving and standing along beside with us in these challenging times. And I would like to introduce Andrew Berman. He is the Executive Director of Village Preservation. He will be speaking to us on the importance of the New York City landmark and restoration. Let's welcome Andrew Berman.
Thank you so much. It's really wonderful to be here tonight, especially for this event, which is working towards restoring what truly is one of New York's great landmarks. And I want to put that in a little bit of context for you. For those of you who are connected to the church, obviously, I don't need to tell you how important the church is as a place, as a point of community, as a touchstone for culture, for faith. But I want to give a little bit of a sense of how important this place is to all of the rest of New York City, even to those who may have never even set foot inside of this building. New York City has had a landmarks law since 1965, and in the time since that law began, tens of thousands of buildings in New York City have been landmarked. But this was one of the very, very first buildings to be landmarked, and one of the few that is an individual landmark. It is a strikingly beautiful building in what's known as the Second Empire style, built just after the Civil War. Reputedly the first fireproof structure in New York, when of course cities would regularly burn down, in whole or in part. And this was the beginning in the post-Civil War era when New York was undergoing the throes of change from the Industrial Revolution, of changing into a modern city. Fireproof structures were part of that. But this building also really speaks to the evolution of New York as a place where people came from all over the globe to create a new society. This building, when it was originally built, largely served the German immigrant community, which was one of the largest immigrant communities in New York, centered in this part of town in what we now call the East Village. But as the 19th century was turning into the 20th century, new waves of immigrants were coming here largely from Eastern Europe: Ukrainians, Poles, Slovaks, Hungarians, Jews, Italians. And this neighborhood was continuing to transform. And this building is such a wonderful emblem of that virtuous cycle, where it can be built as a bank and serve that purpose incredibly well, but then it can become a place of worship and a place of community. And of course, an incredibly special place for the Ukrainian community. And one of the really critical things that buildings like this do is they embody a history and a story. And I think there's no greater example of why it's important that those stories be remembered, why we're able to see them and touch them and embody them in places like this, especially today as Ukraine faces a fight for its very existence, when there are those who would say it doesn't really exist, it doesn't really matter, it's not really a distinct identity. Places like this speak to the fact that this is a distinct culture, it is a distinct community, and they help nurture that and they help keep it alive. So hopefully today and the efforts of so many in this room will continue that. We'll help to keep the building alive, we'll help to keep the congregation alive, we'll help to keep the culture going so that future generations of New Yorkers, another 150 years from now, when the building is twice as old as it is today, can appreciate how incredible it is and all of the people whose lives were touched by it. So thank you very much, and please be as generous as you can to help with this effort. Thank you.
Добрий день, вітаю, друзі.
Hello, everybody. Greetings, friends.
Ні для кого не секрет, що місто Нью-Йорк – місто іммігрантів.
It's not a secret for anybody that New York is the city of immigrants.
І я тому не виключення. Для мене, особливо як для людини, яка приїхала нещодавно, дуже важливі перші були, звісно, враження, перші люди, перші місця.
And I am not an exception to that. As an immigrant who came very recently, the first impressions, the very first places made a difference for me.
І саме цим особливим місцем стала церква Cornerstone.
And that unique place became the Cornerstone church for me.
Я дуже вдячна пастору Івану та його дружині Ірині.
I'm very grateful to Pastor Ivan and his wife Irena.
Тому що це була, скажімо так, перша взагалі допомога тут, в Америці.
Because it was the very first help for me here in America.
І не тільки мені, а й сотням українців.
Not just for me, but for hundreds of Ukrainians.
Які, звісно, тікали від війни.
Who were fleeing from the war in Ukraine.
Тому я дуже вдячна і сподіваюся, що сьогоднішній захід
I am very grateful and hopeful that today's event
стане такою звісткою для ще більшої аудиторії про потреби надання допомоги нашій церкві.
will become a message for yet greater audience about the needs of the Ukrainian community.
І я вірю, що в цьому році чи за найближчий час буде зібрані потрібні кошти для реставрації.
And I firmly believe that this year or in the near future, sufficient funds will be collected for this project.
Ну а від мене, як від співачки, свої пісні.
But for me as a singer, I'll offer a song.
Дякую. І перша пісня буде називатися «Вечоріє».
And the first song is going to be called It is on the verge of dusk.
Дякую. Вечоріє, вечоріє, вітерець тихенько віє, я запитую у клена, чом ти не прийшов до мене, чи зашкодила ця злива, чи то доля нещаслива, чи в ранковому тумані не знайшов моє кохання. Не знайшов моє кохання, не знайшов моє кохання. Чом під віконцем, червоні сальві, чому в журбі? Чи не зігріло їх ласкаве сонце, чи любиш очі ти не голубі? Чом під віконцем, червоні сальві, чому в журбі? Чи не зігріло їх ласкаве сонце? Вечоріє, вечоріє, а душа як попел мліє, вже не чути клена шуму, сохнуться від суму, п'януться від червоні, подих твій мої долоні, вже не гріє, ой не гріє, вечоріє, вечоріє, ой не гріє, вже не гріє, вечоріє, вечоріє, ой не гріє, вже не гріє, вечоріє, вечоріє. Чом під віконцем, червоні сальві, чому в журбі? Чи не зігріло їх ласкаве сонце, чи любиш очі ти не голубі? Чом під віконцем, червоні сальві, чому в журбі? Чи не зігріло їх ласкаве сонце? Чи не зігріло їх ласкаве сонце? Ой, не гріє, вже не гріє, вечоріє, вечоріє. Дякую, друзі. Я ще повернусь. I'll be back. Thank you.
As you see, we are, thank you, it's my little helper. As we see, even in this song and the clip, we could see a Ukrainian dress, traditional, and the video contemporary. And we truly want to be a community that bridges or integrates traditional with contemporary. We believe there is a room for everyone. Also, being on a sacred site at the church, the landmark is a sacred site for us. We are so fortunate to have a friend, a supporter of our building, president of Landmark Conservancy of New York, Peg Breen, and I would like to welcome her, and she will share a little bit with us.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. The New York Landmarks Conservancy is 51 years old, and for the majority of that time, we have had a statewide program of giving grants and technical help to landmark religious institutions of all denominations. People who come to these sacred places have faith in the traditional sense of the word, but preservationists have faith of a sort also. We believe that by protecting and maintaining sacred spaces of all types, we are in effect redeeming the faith of the people who created them in the first place and helping them to continue on. We first became involved with Cornerstone in 2022 when we gave, I think it was a $6,000 grant for architectural services to try to take care of a problem with the building. More recently, my colleague Ann Friedman, who you'll hear from, worked with them and succeeded in getting a $500,000 matching grant from New York State for the exterior work. It is a real credit to this church and to your mission that you received this grant. The state used to do this much more regularly, and now they very seldom do. They very rarely give to landmark religious properties. So it is all to your credit. And we have given a $48,000 grant to help match the cities. In 2022, you also participated in our Sacred Sites Open House Weekend. We invite religious institutions from all over the state to open their doors on a particular weekend so that people can come in and understand not just your religious heritage, but all the good work that religious institutions do. Obviously, as a preservationist, I like brick and stone. I'm happy to keep buildings going, but that's not really why we do it. We do it because of the people. And this church is extraordinary. I think the world has seen in the last couple of years how extraordinary Ukrainians are. And this particular church has just done an enormous amount of good in terms of helping to settle new Ukrainians who are coming here, displaced Ukrainians around the world, wounded Ukrainian soldiers, helping them get the medical attention that they need. They have another service here for people who are homeless. They team with other Ukrainian churches to have Ukrainian festivals and keep the larger sense of Ukrainian community alive. So it is an amazing mission, and we are just very happy to be a part of it and happy to be able to help. I hope you'll be part of the open house again this year. In 2022, I showed up early, and I got here at the end of the weekly community meals that the parishioners have, and had the best chocolate cake I've ever had in my life. So please do it again, and I'll be early this year again, too. Thank you very much.
To continue Ukrainian topic,
Продовжуючи українську тематику, я хочу виконати твір українського композитора Мирослава Скорика.
I'd like to do a piece by famous Ukrainian composer Miroslav Skorik.
Вона є музичною візитною карточкою України по всьому світі.
This song is like international card, reputation card for Ukraine in the entire world.
Можна її не називати в Україні, тільки почують перший такт, пару нот, і всі знають мелодія Скорика. Вашій увазі.
And Ukrainians hear just a few words and they know it's Skorik's melody. So here you go.
Wow, this was beautiful, wasn't it? I also would like to invite and introduce to you Anne Friedman. She's the director of Sacred Site Program. And as you have heard already from Peg Breen, that she has helped us and provided the funds from Sacred Sites. But also I remember when we were thinking to apply for the state grant, and Anne said, well, it would be nice for you to apply, but often churches do not get these grants because it's really difficult to get all the paperwork work. So I was a little bit like, I saw the dim tunnel, but there was a little hope. And but because of the help and support and endorsement, and was standing with us till the end, we are so thankful to receive both grants, Sacred Sites as well as the state grant. Well, so welcome, Anne.
I want to say Andrew Robley did a great job for the church as a consultant, writing the grant application. Maria, whose husband has been translating up here, did a great job applying to us for the grant, contacting us to ask us for help. You had done a great deal of work as a congregation here, renovating the interior, renovating downstairs, inviting other groups in to use the space, programming the space. But it is scary when the city says you have violations. Pieces of the building are falling down. The building is dangerous, and you found Matthew Jenkins. You found an experienced preservation architect. So all of the pieces you put into place really just demonstrate what a great job you've done managing this project. It is a big challenge to raise $500,000, but you've done an amazing job securing that state grant, and then our grants helping you to match that, but there's more to do. And as Peg said, it really is hard for a church to get one of these state grants. There are about 20 a year. You got the maximum, $500,000, so yay, you. And I did come here because Andrew invited me, and I harangued the state grants officer and said, this is the year. This is a Ukrainian church. It's got to get the grant, and I think it helped a little bit. So, thank you all, and you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Truly, this is the effort of a team. And we already heard some names, and I would like to invite another important member of our team, Maria. She's been helping us with many projects. Also, she's going to share a little bit what Ukrainian church have been doing since the war has started. Let's welcome Maria, our church member.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Cornerstone Church. And I really love the name of our church, Cornerstone Church. My husband and I came here in 2020. We found out there was this Ukrainian church, beautiful. You wouldn't notice because it looks like a bank building or some corporate building. And we found a wonderful, welcoming community here, and we joined Cornerstone. We joined as Ukrainians. We joined in our professional capacity, and I believe it was God's purpose and God's will for us to have an attorney at the church, to have a certified public accountant, financial person, for us to have friends who knew Andy from upstate, and then the puzzle just kept on coming together. So I thank everybody who are a part of this puzzle, who continue supporting us. 2022 came, and we continue living up to that name, Cornerstone. When the full-scale invasion started, next day or the following day, our church already started hosting different volunteer groups. At that time, I was volunteer at Razum for Ukraine. Andrew, you know the name of the organization because in 2022, you awarded the Community Award to Razum for Ukraine. And so this organization has been very active in the community. And at that time, all volunteer and first volunteer meetings happened here at Cornerstone. And people were brainstorming what to do, how to collect resources, how to grieve, how to act, those early days. And the church's participation continued. At that time, I was expecting a baby, so I wasn't taking that many clients, private clients, to my practice, and it just, again, horrible event, but perfectly aligned with my schedule, that I could commit myself to the service to the community and to have the support of the community. So Pastor Ivan, Irina supported the initiative to start hosting free immigration consultations in the basement of our church. And as you know, it's a very welcoming and nice place. When people hear basement of a church, usually they don't have they don't have a good association, but with us it worked out very well. That volunteering at Razum became my full-time work, because the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, supported Razum for Ukraine, the organization where I worked at that time, with this special grant to support displaced Ukrainians. And so, knowing that we had all the infrastructure in place, we had the place to continue doing the clinics, gatherings, distribution events, code drives, we continue doing that, and I'm so proud and happy to share that at the end of that grant, in fall of 2023, my team, we served over 800 families, and over 300 families received free immigration assistance, immigration advice, and helping them with paperwork. So many people received job leads. Community really came together. So I am so grateful for the opportunity to partner, being a member of Cornerstone, but also being a member of another organization, being a volunteer. And that's so important that we are here on the corner of 3rd Avenue, Cooper Square, and 7th Street. And if you go down the street, you know, there is St. George Church, there are other organizations. And we encourage, and we are trying to be as friendly and as supportive to each other as possible. And in our church, we have people who serve as dedicated volunteers for Revived Soldiers Ukraine, Tatiana, and that organization also hosted multiple events here, and our church served as that cornerstone for them. And so this is just to show you that this church, this building is so important for the community, and we are so thankful that we had that opportunity. We continue serving. Church itself had multiple very special events. You know, Ukrainians, we like to have a good meal. So that tradition of having a good meal was paired with beautiful musical performances, and many displaced Ukrainians came here to have that place of gathering, to have, you know, a shoulder to lean on, because so many of them did not have contacts here in the city. So I am very proud to be a part of this church, a part of this community, a part of the Ukrainian community. Regardless of any circumstances that we encounter, even today, sad news are coming from Ukraine, but we are doing this work to make sure that this church, this building, this community can continue serving the needs of Ukrainians, the needs of East Village, and be that very bright, welcoming, safe place in our community. So thank you so much for everyone's support, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Maria. I would like to introduce to you one of my new favorite singer from Ukraine, and he is very, very contemporary. And as I said, that as we are the church, that we have traditional people, and we love Ukrainian tradition and heritage, but also we have young people, young generation. And yesterday we had a special event with him, and to my surprise, or not surprise, a full room of young people would come to church and listen to his newly written content, and it has to do with the present time of Ukraine. He's going to share a little bit about each song of his writing, and we will see visuals on the screen. It is a present situation, what we're going through. So let's welcome Olivan and Vasil will translate him.
Hi everyone, my name is Olivan.
Вітаю всіх, мене звати Соліван.
I will try to make Ukrainian because English much better than mine.
Я можу сказати щось по-українськи, тому що його англійська ліпше, ніж моя.
Буду по піснях говорити. Перша пісня про маму.
The first song is about mother.
І я її написав для своєї мами ще до війни.
I wrote it for my mother all the way before the war.
І хочу вам всім сказати, що поки є в нас час,
I want to say, as long as we still have time,
ми маємо сказати нашим мамам, що ми їх любимо.
we must tell our mothers that we love them,
То що вони заслужили на це.
because they deserve that.
І поки пісня буде грати,
And as long as this song plays,
напишіть смс-ку, якщо є можливість.
write a text message to your mother if you have a chance.
І пісня мама.
The song is Mother.
Моє перше слово мама, там, де ти, я удома, мама, я вдячний тобі за життя моє. Де ти там, що ти там, мамо? Знаю, твоя себе набагато, це моя вина, мам. Де ти там, що ти там? Ти чекаєш дзвінка, а його все нема, мам. Де ти там, що ти там? Я для тебе завжди залишусь немовлям. Я для тебе завжди залишуся гіллям твого дерева. Мама, моє перше слово мама, там, де ти, я удома, мама, я вдячний тобі за життя моє. Мама, моє перше слово мама, там, де ти, я удома, мама, я вдячний тобі за життя моє. Поки інші обирали гріх, ти обрала моє життя, не своє життя. Поховала на той час майбуття. Я вдячний, мам, це завдяки твоїм обіймам. Знаю, як було складно для нас. Без тебе я б згас, без тебе я пас. Зі мною повсякчас ти в тиші мій глас. Без тебе не було б і нас. Всі перемоги ворожкі, я завжди чекаю твої підказки. Я пам'ятаю всі твої казки. Я з тобою, який я з тобою без маски. І коли в мене з'являться діти, ти станеш найкращою бабусею в світі, мам. Мам. Мама, моє перше слово мама, там, де ти, я удома, мама, я вдячний тобі за життя моє.
Наступна пісня дуже особлива для мене.
The next song is very special for me.
Я її написав під час війни.
I wrote it during the war.
І написав про моїх друзів, які, на жаль, вже загинули.
I was writing about my friends who unfortunately died.
І я коли написав цю пісню і їхав з Німеччини, віз якісь там шоломи, бронежилети в Україну.
And when I wrote this song, I was returning from Germany carrying like helmets and vests with me.
І я думав, от який кліп я б хотів би показати.
And I was thinking, what clip do I show for that?
І мені прийшла ідея.
And I got an idea.
Я подзвонив дружині загиблого героя.
I called to the wife of the deceased soldier.
І запитав її: Аня, слухай, в мене така ідея прийшла, а чи не було б, ну, чи це дивно, чи не дивно, якби я попросив би особисті архіви з його телефону?
And I asked her, do you think it would be strange if I asked personal data from his phone?
І вона сказала, що це, ну, чудова ідея, показати все, що було в мирному і довоєнному часі.
And she said, no, that's a perfect idea to see how he lived before the war in the peaceful time.
І зараз ви на екрані побачите реальні історії реальних людей.
And now, in a minute, you'll see on the screen the stories of real people.
4 сім'ї,
4 families.
4 чоловіка, яких, на жаль, вже немає.
4 men who are unfortunately no longer with us.
І всі вони з мого міста.
And all of them are from my city.
І дуже молоді хлопці.
Very young guys.
Молодші за мене навіть.
Younger than me.
То я дуже попрошу, щоб на цю пісню ми встали.
So I'll ask you to rise for this song.
Тому що, ну, цю пісню ми зустрічаємо завжди стоячи.
Because it's a way to pay homage to them.
Дякую.
Thanks.
Розупірвалась твоя мить, щось між грудей тепер болить, сірий туман навколо знов, хай би це був лиш тільки сон, вже не почую твоїх слів, твого тепла простигне слід, мрії твої розмиє дощ життя крізь пальці, мов пісок. За твої обійми, за 1000 фраз, що мене рятували у скруту не раз. Я дякую щиро за віру в нас. Я відчуваю твій погляд, знаю, ти дивишся з неба, але чомусь так незвично жити без тебе, жити без тебе. І якось пусто в кімнаті, навіть коли поруч люди, я пам'ятаю твій запах, знаю, тепер як раніше не буде. Тепер на гуні на один стілець, більше ніж потрібно нам, як виток в один кінець, як попіл по вітрам. І учу по звичці набрати твій номер, тепер недоступний, тепер це знайомо, як більш цінувати почав лиш тепер, і став сірим світ, де немає тепер. І для когось ти просто чергове число, а для когось ти все світ, комусь ти тепло, я свій зір підіймаю у зоряне небо, прийде час і я буду у тебе. Я відчуваю твій погляд, знаю, ти дивишся з неба, але чомусь так незвично жити без тебе, жити без тебе. І
Слава Україні!
Thank you, Livan. You know, the church is the business of, in a place of renovation, restoration, and rehabilitation. And many lives that are lost, we cannot revive. The other lives that are damaged, we together as a community can do. As you have heard from Maria, many soldiers were here without limbs who came to the United States to receive prosthetics, and we were a part of it. And also, we have to have a place of meeting, and that's why we're here, to restore the beautiful historic building that would serve generations to come. And without amazing brain behind this operation, architect Matthew Jenkins, we could not do this. We are so fortunate to have him with us, and he worked on many beautiful buildings that we've seen nearby. And I would like to welcome Matthew Jenkins to the stage. He'll share with us.
Thank you. I took some notes because I didn't think I'd be speaking, because no one likes to hear architects speak. I mean, I don't like to. So when I first walked up to this building, I realized how lucky I was. I just couldn't believe it. I was speechless when I saw it. I have a couple of friends who went to Cooper Union. This is their favorite building in New York City, and I know for a fact that many architecture students there have sketched this building to study what a 157-year-old French Second Empire building is detailed like. This is the perfect example of that. This project is going to be a challenge financially and physically. It's going to take a lot of work and money, but this is just not about preserving a building. I love that the name Cornerstone is in the church's name, because this is a cornerstone for the neighborhood and for the entire city. So I hope you enjoy watching this facade change as it comes. Like I said, it's going to be hard, so it's going to take money and a lot of effort, but I hope you enjoy it as much as I do to see it happen. All right, thank you.
Also, I would like to invite our special friend and also the brain behind the operation, Andrew Robley. He's been helping us a lot with all the grants applications, and let's welcome Andrew. He's going to share with us.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a great privilege for me to be here. I feel a little insecure here because everybody came up and spoke so eloquently and intelligibly without any notes. But here I have some. Can you pull up my PowerPoint, Sasha? Thank you very much. So some of the people that spoke already covered a lot of the stuff that I was going to talk about, so I'm just going to move this along because there's some wonderful food and refreshments downstairs that we all want to get to, especially me. So I do want to start this out first by giving a shout out to my guru at Cornell University, Michael Tomlin, who taught us to ask the question regarding preservation of what for whom. And it's the whom that is really the most important question to be answered, because we're not just talking about the physical preservation of this amazing building, but also the preservation of intangible culture that's been here for nearly 100 years. So my name is Andrew Robley. I'm the president of Robley Historic Preservation. We're based in Auburn, New York, which is way upstate. It's the home of the Seward House Museum, which is the home of Lincoln's Secretary of State, William H. Seward, whose statue faces the Flatiron Building in Madison Square Park. So we're just going to go through these slides. I'm going to give you a brief but hopefully informative journey, take you on a journey through the history of the building and talk about some of that tangible and intangible heritage that we're working to preserve. Next slide, please. So this church, as Matthew pointed out, is a Second Empire-inspired building. It features a slate tile-clad mansard roof and an elevated first story. It was constructed in 1867 as the Metropolitan Savings Bank. What's interesting about this bank in particular is that it was originally opened for women and working class clients in what was then known as Little Germany. This was an immigrant neighborhood of primarily German speakers. As Andrew pointed out earlier, this was built in mostly non-combustible materials, including molded metal staircases and floor panels, and thick walls of white Tuckahoe marble, because they wanted it to be fireproof. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go back just quite a ways, actually, talk about the history of the neighborhood, but very quickly. Here we have two maps that I really like. The one on my right, stage right, is from 1776. It's a plan of the city of New York. And this I just put up there to give us a sense of the pastoral nature of Manhattan before the city was really built. Skipping ahead 91 years to 1867, the map on your right, my left, is from something called Lloyd's Mammoth Map of the business portion of New York City. And you can see, barely, the red circle goes around our parcel. And they have a little note there, Metropolitan Savings Bank. And so it's probably being constructed while they made this map. Next slide. This is probably the first graphic representation of our building. This is from the 1879 bird's eye map of New York. I love bird's eye maps because they have just an incredible level of detail of every building. And you can make out the mansard roof and the 3rd Avenue elevated train, and of course the Union across the street. Next slide. Architect Carl Pfeiffer, who was himself a German immigrant, designed the bank building. As we've said, this was a reaction to the catastrophic fires of the mid-19th century New York. It was lauded as the first quote-unquote fireproof building in Manhattan. Among Carl Pfeiffer's other works was the Roosevelt Hospital and Asylum, of which the octagon is the only surviving part. I want to give you, so one of the perks, from my perspective, one of the perks of being a historic preservationist is reading old newspapers. They can be quite entertaining. But anyways, I do want to give you the description that was in the New York Daily Herald on August 5th of 1867. When this building was brand new, they had a grand opening, and the newspaper described it this way. The entire first floor is to be occupied by the banking institution. There will be a large fire and burglar-proof vault made of granite and iron. The style of architecture will be Rococo, so prevalent in Paris during the reign of Louis XIV. See, now we describe this as a Second Empire. That's the parlance of our time. It's interesting to see what 143 years ago, the terms that they were using. They're completely different. They refer to completely different eras of history. Next slide. The article goes on to mention that Mr. William Lambier and Son are doing the mason work. Mr. Isaac Walton is the carpenter. The architectural ironworks are to furnish the smith's work, and Mr. Masterson, Hall & Co. of the Eastchester Quarry Company, the marble work. The cost of the building will be about $150,000. The banking room is to have flooring of hardwood of various designs and variegated colors. The counters and fittings will be of black walnut. Here we see some pictures, and in the slide before there was these incredibly beautiful and unique cast iron staircases with these really intricately decorated risers that you can look right through. It's really a beautiful and amazing piece of work. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of Cooper Square at about 1900. When the building was first constructed in this area, it was known as Stuyvesant Square. It acquired its current name in 1883 after the death of Peter Cooper. So you can see the elevated train there, kind of just a few feet in front of the building. And part of the process of our rehabilitation is going to be cleaning the outside of the building. And, you know, some of that soot may date back to when this elevated train was running by. So there's a whole academic, way too academic discussion about historic dirt that we won't get into right now. So how did this bank become a Ukrainian church? The end of the 19th century saw a large influx of Ukrainian immigrants to New York from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, fleeing poverty and overpopulation, with a smaller contingent from the Russian Empire during a period of political and social upheaval in the reigns of Alexander II and III. The Ukrainian community in America came to be centered here in the East Village, in an area known as the Ukrainian Village, which is roughly bounded by Houston and 14th Street and 3rd Avenue and Avenue A. This population continued to grow. It reached its peak after World War II with about 60,000 people, and today, approximately a third of all Ukrainians living in New York City are living in this village. Next slide. We're going to go on a geographically long, but I'm not going to make it long, journey to get an understanding of where this church came from culturally. So the gentleman here at stage right is Nikita Cherkasov. He was born 1886 near the border of Russia and Kazakhstan. He joined the Imperial Army in 1907, and he was serving in Tashkent when he had a conversion experience and became a Baptist of all things, and started missionary work among the Russians. By 1912, he was increasingly annoying the Orthodox authorities and the imperial authorities, and so he needed to make an escape. He was given a passport by a friend, which is why he changed his name to Ivan. That's right, thank you, Voronev. He immigrated to the United States, to Los Angeles, where he started a small Russian Baptist church. He moved to New York in 1919. At that point, his daughter received the gift of tongues and became a Pentecostal. Soon after, Ivan joined his daughter and founded the Russian Pentecostal Church in New York City. They rented a place to worship in Lower Manhattan, and this Slavic Pentecostal church started to spread among the different ethnicities. But in 1920, he left New York and went to Ukraine to preach the gospel. And he set up numerous churches over there. He was arrested by the Soviet authorities, sent to Siberia, where he reportedly died in 1937, the same year that the Ukrainians bought this church, coincidentally. So in the mid-1930s, the church divided into a Russian-speaking church and a Ukrainian-speaking church, and the Ukrainian church obtained this building in 1937. There's been some alterations over the years, but it was landmarked by the LPB in 1966 and listed on the National Register in 1976. Next slide, please. So the photo on my lower right is from the National Register application from the 70s. You see the character of the neighborhood's a little different. It's kind of just standing there alone, like a tooth, and yeah. Of course, we are in the sanctuary, so this slide is kind of redundant, but we're going to go to the next slide. The bank vault, which you'll see, was used as a rental space over the years. It was recently upgraded to serve as a social space for the church. What's interesting about this church is that there's other faith communities that use the building from all different cultural backgrounds. There's Russian, Jewish, Ethiopian, Asian American groups. They all rent this space and use it on a rotating schedule. One of the other things that happened is that originally there was a stoop that led up to where the window is with the cross. That was the door. So at some point they moved the door down to the street. That brings us up to this present day. Next slide, please. It's just a couple shots of the interior spaces upstairs of the church. The story of this really begins with some people that we've seen and heard from already, Vasila Maria. In January of 2022, I got a call from Maria. We know each other through a mutual friend, and she was asking for help. She knew that I was a preservationist, and the building was in some trouble and needed some help, so she called me. The building department had hit the church with some violations, which we've heard about earlier. The metal cornice, the cracking marble, all these things were things that needed to be addressed as quickly as possible. So at that point, the church really intensified its commitment to preserving the building. Next slide. Oh, I did want to share this slide. So this is in the beginning of the movie The Money Pit with Tom Hanks. It was on TV a couple months ago, and I said, wait a minute, back that up. My wife was watching it. There's the building in 1985. I just wanted to put that in there for no reason. Anyways, next slide. So this is a little bit of a detailed view to see what we're dealing with here. The cast iron cornice is in bad shape. We have the marble underneath is cracked. Some of it may be staining. Some of it may be damaged. We don't know yet. Next slide. This is a shot of the mansard roof. As you can see, there's been some ad hoc fixes over the years, but these need to be addressed in a more permanent way. And there's some other photos that just give you an idea of the spalling and the cracking of the stonework. Next slide. So during the initial planning and discussions about what to do about this building, the Russian invasion of Ukraine began. And so that really raised the stakes for what it is we were trying to do. The church responded to this by really increasing their programming and assisting immigrants. This is all at the same time when they're trying to come to grips with the physical rehabilitation of the structure. They've started organizations, they've run legal clinics, all the stuff that you've heard earlier. Every inch of the building has been utilized to bring services to the community, and they've helped about 5,000 people in the last year. I do want to give you a statistic that I like to share whenever I'm talking about this building and the culture and the people. So between 2010 and 2020, the number of Ukrainians in America grew by about 30,000 people. In 2021 alone, it grew by 40,000 people, and that's despite the restrictions imposed by COVID. Since the invasion, over 270,000 Ukrainians have come to New York. And so that is part of the church, part of its mission now is to help those people get stabilized here, get them safe, and help them along their way. Next slide, please. So we've already heard about the Landmarks Conservancy Sacred Sites Grant, which we were very appreciative of, and the Environmental Protection Fund grant from the state, which we're extremely happy about. It's about $500,000, but this represents just a portion of the projected total project cost. It's a step in the right direction, but we have some ways to go. Next slide, please. So I want to end just talking about the people and the intangible culture and go back to that question of for whom are we rehabilitating, are we preserving these structures? And, you know, when we think about a historic place, it's really a place that's gained significance by the way that people have expressed their values at a very specific geographic location. But how do we measure non-economic values? That's a tough question to answer. But there is one metric, and I think that's commitment. And the church here and Vasile and Maria and the whole team deserves a lot of recognition for their commitment to the legacy of this building and the history of the congregation in this place. The fact that a small team of church members and a couple of small-time professionals, no offense, Matthew, talking about myself. What we've been able to accomplish so far is remarkable and makes us feel really great and optimistic, although we admittedly have a ways to go. I think that this really shows that this is a commitment of people that have a commitment to something greater than themselves. And that's really the soul of preservation in my book. What we're seeing here are people that are hanging on to a place where they've expressed their own cultural values for nearly 100 years. They understand that this place means something. And this really came home to me. I mean, I love the building and wanted to help and everything, but really this past May I came here and was invited to a refugee welcome night in the basement. It was filled with people who had immigrated from Ukraine in the last 12 months, mostly women and children, as men under 65 are under a military restriction. But they sat me down and they gave me borscht and potato pancakes and these cookies. So I was already like on board for whatever they wanted to tell me. It was ran like an open mic style. People were encouraged to come up and share their experiences. And what really struck me that night, and it continues tonight, and there was an event last night, is the laughter and the happiness despite all the tragedy. That's really a beautiful thing. Everything was in Ukrainian, so I didn't understand a thing they were saying. But some things don't need translation. I really realized how special this project was. So we'll go to the next slide. So looking to the future, the efforts of just a few highly enthusiastic and committed congregants, like Vasile and Maria, we will continue to come together and create new solutions to preserve this place in the Ukrainian village. For us, for the children that are here, so that we can derive meaning from this place and continue to imbue it with meaning. So with that, you know, you all were given pledge cards when you came in. Please consider giving. Anything you give means something and makes a difference. So that's why we gave the cards. If you can't give now, if you want to think about it, if you need to talk to your wife, like I would have to, take them home and think about it. But please help us preserve this building, preserve the heritage here, so that the intangible heritage can still keep going in this amazing place. So thank you for coming and thank you for listening.
Друзі, і ще буде дві пісні. А від мене я хочу виконати авторську пісню.
Yeah, so there will be two more songs. I'd like to do a signature song.
Пісня має назву «Як калина розцвіте».
And the name of the song is As a Snowball Tree Starts Blossoming.
Да, цікаво, що калина, знаєте, це як я ще прочитала, думаю, цікаво, що ще означає, може я щось не знаю. Так і написано, значить, калина – символ України.
And I was trying to find the right expression for the snowball tree, and I found in one book it says, snowball tree is a symbol of Ukraine.
Тож пісня романтична, але і про калину також.
So the song is romantic, but also about this tree too,
І весела.
and happy too.
If you wanna, you can dance, of course, because it's so funny song and happy. Зачекай хвилину, річка швидко плинна, не прийшов ще милий, не цвіте калина. Ой, матуся ненька, я піду до млину, скоро прийде милий, зацвіте калина. Буду любити тебе, як калина розцвіте, як калина розцвіте. Буду любити тебе. Буду любити тебе. Ще не виглядає милий біля тину, не настав ще вечір, не світе калина. Ой, матуся ненька, я піду до млину, скоро прийде милий, зацвіте калина. Буду любити тебе, як калина розцвіте, як калина розцвіте. Буду любити тебе, буду любити тебе, як калина розцвіте, як калина розцвіте. Буду любити тебе. В'ється стежка доля, в'ється у долині, милий вже чекає, де цвіте калина, де сміється сонце, де річка прозора, де цвіте калина, де так сяють зорі. Буду любити тебе, як калина розцвіте, як калина розцвіте. Буду любити тебе, буду любити тебе, як калина розцвіте, як калина розцвіте. Буду любити тебе. Буду любити тебе. Буду любити тебе. Буду любити тебе. Співаємо всі разом. Буду любити тебе, як калина розцвіте, як калина розцвіте. Буду любити тебе. Буду любити тебе. Дякую. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we will celebrate and blossom when this building will again look great to the former's glory. So thank you for coming. And you have received the pledge cards. If you could take it, fill out. Also, if you're watching us online, I believe we have an opportunity to give online, and you'll be able to see the QR code, and together we could do it. And thank you for your help. Thank you for your commitment. At the end of our event, after the last song that we sing together and go downstairs for fellowship, we will have borscht and vareniki and amazing dessert. You will be able to drop these cards with our beautiful ushers, the greeters that met you at the front. And if you want to take home and think about it and talk to your wife, like I have to talk to my wife too, you can mail it or do it electronically. But surely we are so thankful for your support. Thank you for all musicians, singers who are donating their time and talents and making this event one of the kind. And we are so fortunate to have Ukrainian support and friends of Ukraine who are watching us online and prompt to support the challenge that we have. We believe we can get this mountain. We're not scared. We know with your help and your support, we'll be able to do that. This building will continue to shine for the generations to come. So I believe we have one more song together, because Ukrainians love to sing, to celebrate, and enjoy great fellowship and food. So let's together sing one more song.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася. Чому ж наша славна Україна зажурилася? А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася. Чогось наша славна Україна зажурилася. А ми тую червону калину підіймемо, а ми нашу славну Україну, гей, гей, розвеселимо. Слава Україні! Слава Богу! Дякую.
And we invite every